Welcome everyone to the second round of the Chennai Grand Masters 2025. We have the US Grandmaster Ray Robson on our screen. He is also a very well-known figure for being five-time world puzzle battle champion. And while that might not be very popularly known, it shows that Ray Robson is an amazingly tactical player. And coming in as his opponent for today is Grandmaster Vidit Gujrathi. Vidit is making a comeback to classical chess after many months. He is, after all, a very strong classical player. He played the Candidates 2024 and had reached a career peak rating of 2750. Right now, he's at 2720. He continues with his routine before the game, which is to quietly close his eyes, meditate. In the first round, Ray Robson faced Anish Giri and had kind of a tame draw in the Petrov. Vidit Gujrathi, on the other hand, had an absolutely stunning game against Jordan Van Forest, where he was at first losing, then winning, and in the end it ended in a draw. So a lot of ups and downs, and now we have reached here today where the second round of this top classical chess tournament in India is about to begin. It's Ray Robson versus Vidit Gujrathi, and this, dear friends, is the Ambit recap of the day. Robson opens the game with 1d4, and Vidit Gujrathi now has to decide what opening he's going to play against it. He goes for d5, a very solid line, and Robson brings his knight out to f3. With this, he would like to maybe keep his options open for c4, also bishop f4, the London system. Vidit goes knight to f6, and now an interesting moment, because this is where the line will be chosen. He goes e3. Wow, we call it the Kohli system, or just a little bit unambitious, I must say, because it closes your bishop down, the e3 pawn. But on the other hand, the bishop will come out from b3, bishop b2 from this side. So knight comes out to d2, and Vidit plays pawn to c5. He strikes in the center, and now you can play for this c3 move, but makes sense to go b3. So the way in which white would develop is bishop b2, bishop d3, and short castle. He goes knight d7, and interestingly, Vidit is putting his knight on the d7 square and not c6. These are very minute and small changes, and it stems from the fact that Vidit now understands that his bishop should control the e4 square. Bishop b5 played, trying to pin the knight here, and Vidit brings his bishop to b7. Very interesting, this move, bishop b5, because what is the bishop doing here? Can I just kick it away with a6? That's exactly what Vidit does. He questions the bishop's presence on b5, and the bishop goes back to d3. So we have a standard position for white: the knight on f3, the knight on d2, bishop on d3, and bishop b2. Where is black going to develop his bishop? Vidit plays bishop to e7, and it makes sense not to put it on d6 for the time being, because anyway the knight would jump to e5 square. And Ray Robson plays a4. I'm not so sure or certain about this move, by the way. Both players out of their preparation now. a4, black castles here, and maybe it's time for Ray Robson to jump in with his knight and create this bind with f4. knight e5 and f4, but he goes queen e2. And maybe he's angling for this breakthrough e4. It's an interesting move. You know, you have all your pieces in the center, the bishop here. But Vidit puts a stop to all these dreams by playing knight to e4. The knight comes to e4, an interesting move. And now Ray Robson just plays rook c1. Not so sure about this move, but maybe c4 is on the cards. And with it now goes bishop d6. After 10 minutes of thought, he improves the position of his bishop. Coming to d6. Later queen f6, queen h6. Rook fd1 played here by Robson. And he takes on d4. Pawn takes on d4. And now there is an important move that Vidit goes for, bishop f4. I love how these concrete things work in such positions. You have pinned the knight here, so the knight on f3 can no longer jump forward. And Ray Robson plays his rook to a1. Not a pretty move, I must say. You don't want to go back from c1 to a1. But it now threatens to take the knight on e4, and Vidit is like, hey, sorry, now my knight is bolstered in the center with f5. But knight f1 played, removing the knight here. Robson's dream scenario is, if he can get his knight out from here, push the pawn to f3 and get this out and hit at the e6 weakness. First pawn to c4 played. And you will see that we are on move 17. But both players down to 35 minutes on the clock. It's very balanced in that sense, the time. And with it goes queen g6. Excellent move. Eyeing the g2 square with the bishop being here. And Robson goes a5. Vidit takes on c4. Maybe not the best move here. Perhaps better was to take on a5. Because after taking here, the knight on e4 becomes a bit shaky. B takes c4 played. And now he takes on a5. Robson chops off the pawn with his rook. Rook takes a5. And Vidit brings his knight to f6. I like how black pieces are slowly and steadily moving towards the white king. And Ray Robson asks a question to the knight on e4. What's your plan, my friend? Now putting pressure on that e4 point. Vidit goes queen h6. Interesting move. Now looking at the h2 pawn with knight g4 coming in. d5 played to break off the connection of the bishop with the knight, and Vidit goes in. Knight g4 attacking the f2 point, also the h2 point. The game is getting sharp now. Only move is bishop takes e4, which makes a lot of sense because now the knight on e4 lost its support from knight here, also from the bishop. So Robson takes it, Vidit takes it back, fe4. And if you take now queen e4, you have to be careful. There are all sorts of tricks here. Knight f2, the bishop moves, rook gets activated, rook takes f3, queen h2 mate. But how to execute it? Pawn takes pawn. Good move by Vidit. Pawn takes pawn also. And now rook a e8 brings the rook into the game. Fantastic chess. Vidit Gujrathi playing some great chess. He goes queen c4. Excellent move, because if bishop g3, there is queen g4. That's the saving point here. He goes rook c8, finds another great move. And now rook to c5 played. But now Vidit has a big tactic, finds it, knight e3, forking these two pieces. And if f e3 here, then bishop e3 and c5 is hanging. So he takes here, rook takes c8, taking the queen and takes it back. So he's gotten a rook and a piece for the queen. Rook takes c4 on the board. And queen comes to b6, eyeing the f2 point, and boom, bishop takes g7. If king g7, there is knight h5 check, winning back the piece, which is the reason why queen b3 played by Vidit, attacking here and here. He needs to find rook d4. That's such a tough move to find. Instead he takes the rook, a blunder, and Vidit Gujrathi is now winning. If queen takes c4, is just completely better. I think he can find it. It's a very powerful move here. Queen takes c4 and should be completely winning. Yes, the d pawn is dangerous. He takes it. Well, d6 doesn't work here because queen a4, I attack here, kind of stop the pawn. So bishop e7, trying to defend the bishop, and now he takes the pawn. So Vidit has now this queen versus rook and piece, and the a passer, knight h5. A good idea now is king f7, just get the king into the game. But Vidit chops off the knight, bishop f3, g takes f3 taken. It needs to be super careful now. Still king f7. There's this very tricky move bd2. If you take this queen c1, such moves have to be played, but he goes bishop e5. Not a bad idea. So bishop f6 played. Now you can take here, knight f6 and king g7, but instead Vidit goes bishop c7. A big mistake. A big mistake, because rook d7 is going to come in, and all of a sudden it's white who has a very interesting position. And notice how Vidit taking this knight on f3 has spoiled the structure, but the king got a square, and now no more checks. Incredible. Queen c5, that's the only move, and it's a good move there, because now if bishop e7, I simply take it, rook e7, king e7 is winning endgame because I have my own passer here. Rook takes h7, taken by Ray Robson, and remember the players are playing at just seconds on the clock, 10 seconds, and you get 30-second increment here. So Ray Robson has 41, Vidit has 1 minute 31 seconds. Bishop d6, a big mistake here by Vidit Gujrathi. He should have played bishop e5 to trade this off, but bd6, now bg7 check with the idea of knight coming in, but he goes knight g3, and now Vidit must chop off the knight. It's not easy, but it's the best move, and it will take away his chances of losing the game because the a pawn is super strong. But Vidit wants to win, goes queen d5. Now this knight is an absolute beast. Knight e4 is coming in, and you know this happens often when you've been winning in a game. You really want to put pressure on your opponent, try to keep winning, but now the position is lost. Bishop b4, and a very strong move is knight g5 with the threat of mate, but first goes rook check, bishop check. King here would be met with knight f6 check, so king f7. Can Robson find? Yes, bishop c3 check. Vidit's king, and now he's losing the bishop, so he must attack the rook. But guys, notice if king takes, then rook, king takes, this knight f6 check. Gives a check first, king h6, another check, can't take it, knight f6, king g6. The problem with bishop takes b4 is queen b5, attacking the bishop and threatening the rook. So goes rook g7, king h6 again, and finds an amazing move, knight f6. This is so beautiful. The queen is attacked. It seems like there's no harmony in the white pieces, but the harmony will come. that will come queen c4, and now knight to g4 check. Finds it. He goes king h5. And he finds another good move, bishop f6. There was a possibility of winning the queen straight away with h4, but here he went bishop f6, queen c1 played by Vidit, h4, threatening rook g5 mate, nothing less. bd2, look at Ray Robson there, trying to be completely focused, bishop e7, and the plan is now knight f6 check. He goes queen a1, attacking the rook. And this is it. Knight f6 check. If you take on g4, h4, rook g4 mate. So king h6 only move. And rook g8, threatening bishop f8. He finds bishop b4. If you take here, queen takes f6 is falling. Pretty sure there's a mate. Oof, h5 with the idea of rook g6 mate, and there's no way to prevent it. If bishop e7, rook g6, what a pretty mating pattern at the end. Vidit resigns. An incredible play here by Ray Robson, showing some great coordination with the rook, bishop and knight. For Vidit, a heartbreaking loss because he did have a winning position. He did play beautifully till the first half of the game, but then in the second half it was tough. He messed it up and he lost. And what I like here, of course, between the two players is the way in which they are analyzing, even though this did not go Vidit's way, and Vidit is very keen to understand where he could have done better in this position. So a great sportsmanship there by both of them, but chess wise I must say a very highly entertaining battle between these two players. And for Ray Robson, this would come as a very special win, while Vidit, I'm pretty sure, has his work cut out in this tournament to make a comeback, and I think he will. But for now, this is Sagar Shah signing off from the Hotel Grand Hyatt in Chennai, from the Quant Box Chennai Grand Masters.
Ray, what a crazy game today against Vidit. I think many emotions, and in the end this beautiful checkmate with 3 pieces, right, against the queen. How was that?
I mean, that was nice. I mean, I saw that like a few minutes before, and I was kind of relieved because I felt like, okay, there's definitely no way he can escape once I get this instruction, and I didn't see how he's really going to be able to stop it. So, yeah, because I was really nervous because I knew I was completely winning, but with the 30 seconds, not finding the exact mate was a little bit frustrating. So I was really happy when I finally found this setup.
What was your evaluation of this queen versus 3 pieces endgame? Like was it winning all the way, you thought, or you thought that he made some critical mistake somewhere there?
I mean, in the beginning when I lost, we exchanged my queen for a rook and piece and pawn, I thought it's at least okay for me, but he had this really strong move, queen b6, which, I mean, it's a move, but I didn't realize how strong it was. Like, his queen is coming to b3, and my d5 pawn basically is undefendable, I think, so I was a little bit desperate taking g7, which looked very risky, but yeah, in the end, we got this position, like, he could easily exchange the bishops if he wanted to, and then my hope was like I'll somehow be able to give up my knight for his a-pawn and then set up a fortress with the rook, but his a-pawn's far away, so that it would actually be difficult to give up the knight. But yeah, his big mistake with bishop c7, that was a huge blunder, letting my rook get to d7, that changed the game completely.
And a pretty great start to the Chennai Grand Masters, I have to say. First round solid draw based finish, and today, like, even though it was a wild game, I think end result was very sweet. How are you feeling overall playing here?
Yeah, well, I feel very happy that I somehow was able to win this game, and obviously it's going well so far. So yeah, I'm just excited. I'm looking forward to the remaining games, and hopefully I can even play a little bit better and not have to get lucky to get some more wins, hopefully. But
thank you so much, Ray, and best wishes for all the upcoming rounds.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.